Hi guys, I'm Officer Matt Coffey.
And I'm Officer Ryan West.
And this is the Dixon Police Podcast, Episode 1. Today we'll be talking about our department culture and why it works so well for us. After that, we'll have a guest interview with Deputy Chief Matt Richards.
All right, so Matt and I kind of kicked around a bunch of different ideas, kind of asked some other guys on the shifts that we're working with what some good ideas for different podcasts were. Had a lot of input from them, which has been good. One of the ones we kept coming back to is kind of the culture we have here at Dixon Police Department, and why it's been pretty awesome. Matt and I both got a lot of stories, like just personal experience of like times where the department has stepped up for us and our families, and that's been it's pretty awesome. Just the whole, like we said, it's a family thing here. So we spend more time with the people here at work than we do with our own families often. So
yes, we do.
Being close to the people you're with, that's a huge benefit here.
Yeah, I agree. When you're with somebody for 12 hours at a time, you get to learn a lot about them, their family, what they got going on at home and things like that. Me personally, I went through some things this past year, and the department was there for me. Everyone, guys on my shift, the chief, deputy chiefs, they were all there for me. And then you have the little things that we do, like we have coffee in the mornings together. Go to breakfast.
Day,
yeah, right. Go to breakfast together. We eat lunch together. There's many things we do here that are pretty awesome.
Yeah. So one thing I think that's awesome. You touched on the coffee and the lunch. So every middle of the week day shift kind of schedule. Like we'll go check all the school zones. Once those are all done and kids are in school, we'll come back to the department. By that point, the detectives, the admin, they're all in, and they're all drinking coffee, and we're all on the same floor together. And it's just like a big friendly gathering for like anywhere from 15, 20, 30 minutes sometimes it goes long. But, it's not talking work. It's talking like, hey, how's this going? How's hunting season right now? It's hunting season, right? So everyone's talking about what kind of deer they saw or shot. And then it's also fantasy football season. So a lot of guys giving friendly ribbing towards each other.
It could cause a little bit of tension, but good tension, nothing bad. Yeah. It's that 8 a.m. thing. School starts at 7:45 here in Dixon, so it's a big part of what we do. That's what all of our sergeants are huge on us being out, being visible. So the kids know we're there, the teachers know we're there, staff, everyone knows that we're out, and that's our job, is to serve and protect. So and then usually shortly after 7:45, when things wind down a little bit, kids are in school, just head back, and just kind of fellowship is a big thing we do here. So
it's great because you get from the top all the way to the bottom. You get
absolutely,
brand new people all the way up to the chief, and deputy chiefs are down there, and everyone's just, I won't say equal. There's never any question of like who's in charge.
Absolutely,
but it definitely promotes like that environment of like I could go talk to the chief about pretty much anything.
For sure.
He'd have it's a true open door kind of thing. And then we reconvene usually during lunch. Everyone comes in the break room and we all eat lunch together. And I'll be honest, there are days where I think I burn more calories than I actually intake because I'm laughing so hard.
You're laughing, yep. Yeah, and as well as I do, this line of work, you need to laugh, you need to have fun, you need to talk about things other than work, and our guys are great about doing that. So whether it's what you're having for lunch or, what you're doing later on tonight, whatever it may be, like you said, hunting season, guys will throw pictures around of, deers that they've shot or their friends or family have shot and things like that, or a deer they have on their trail camera, wherever it may be. For
those of us non-hunters, we always benefit too because everyone's bringing in deer jerky, deer sausage.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Officer. Yeah.
So we got a guy that's in the academy now, and he was doing a ride along for like the week before he left for the academy, and he was riding with me, and it was like one of his very first day, his first or second day, I think, and we had one of our just lunch, normal lunch, where we're coming in, and that particular day, I was laughing so hard, my chest hurt because I was laughing, I couldn't breathe, and we got done with lunch, and we were just driving off, and he looks at me and goes, I've never experienced anything like that before. This place is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing about the job. It was completely unrelated to any kind of police work, but it was just, like you said, the chief, sergeants, the detectives, everyone's down there. just having a good time for that break in the middle of the day.
Yeah. It's usually needed, that break in the middle of the day. Like I said, being here 12 hours, you gotta find that time to wind down every now and then.
So there's something else, talk about our culture too, that's been very good. It's like if guys specialize in one thing over another. Like you got a guy who's maybe more passionate about something, like, hey, this is something I'm interested in. Like some guys are more interested in doing, focus on like drug work. Or we got guys who they are focused on DUI enforcement. And so like to the point now where they're actually teaching classes to other officers at other agencies on like how to be better at conducting, DUIs, or teaching out at the academy at SOC there. So the department's been real positive in like finding what people's strengths are and, leveraging those strengths on those people. Like
building off of them.
Yep. So I do a lot of social media stuff, obviously. Right. So then they're like, just not whatever you need. It's pretty much though.
It's usually how it works. Yeah.
Chiefs, for a while their chief's question was, what do you want? How much is it going to cost me?
Yeah. I think our department's great in regards to, like you said, we have people love DUIs. I mean, with me personally, I just was it last month? I think I wanted to become a field training officer, and I just got on the MTU website, which is the training website, and there's a class coming up in January, and I emailed my deputy chief asking him if I can go to the class, and I think it was a couple days later, I got a confirmation email that I was in the class. So yeah, usually if you ask, or if you go to them with a problem or something that's bothering you and you have a solution to it, yes, then that's a big part in how not only your younger officers but your officers that have been here for a while, that's how they grow as well. Yeah. This department, I know with whatever's going on, that they'll back me no matter what. So
yeah, one thing that's also good about that is that the department's not afraid to implement some kind of changes if it's going to be better. It's not, well, this is the way we've always done it, so that's the way we're going to do it again. If you bring up like a reasonable solution to something that you identify as an issue, like, hey, we got this thing, can we do this other thing to improve it in these ways? Like,
right.
You actually show, if this, then that kind of thing.
Right.
And not just like coming up with like, hey, these things we have are dumb, we should change these. Okay. But,
right.
But why?
Right. Yeah. Well, especially nowadays, like, everything's constantly changing with police work, or whether it just be things at the police department or outside of it. So we try to stay especially we stay on top of things in regards to, I guess a big one is our technology, because we use it all the time, yes, which sometimes they poses issues for us, but we've got an IT guy that does pretty well, and he's available most of the time. Yes. So that's good. But
I do not envy his position.
Yeah, I don't either. No, no. It's like he's always working.
30 people that don't know how to use computers.
Yeah.
Just constantly emailing them.
Yeah.
Kind of just circle back and bring it all the way back to where we were, the being a family thing. So just on a personal level, so when I first started here, I was in field training, and I had a medical emergency with my family. One of my family members got airlifted up to a nearby city up in Rockford. And I remember calling this lieutenant or someone at the time, being like, hey, this is what's happened. We're going to be at this hospital. I got this thing going on. And he's like, yep, just take all the time you need. Don't worry about work. Like, that's the last thing you need to worry about. Just take care of your family.
Right.
And unbeknownst to me, so my dad's driving me up there. And we get to the hospital, and the lieutenant, the now chief, because he was sergeant at the time, and then one of the guys who was now a sergeant also, like, they showed up like 5 minutes after me. Like, they dropped whatever they were doing, got in their vehicle, and drove. Like, they made good time.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
And they got up there, and they were just like, "Hey, man, we're here for you. Like, what do you need?" And like we had like a rotating shift of people who were just up there, like just being there with my family and I. And I'm brand new. I was in the department for like a month out of the academy, so I barely a cop kind of thing.
Right.
And these people are already like bent over backwards for me and my family. To make matters worse, that like same week, so I went back home for a night, and my furnace went out of my house.
Oh no!
It was like the middle of January.
When it rains, it pours.
It does, yeah. And so one of the guys on patrol, he drove past the house, said, "Hey, I see lights on your house. Are you home? I like, just want to make sure your house is like secure and everything else." It was like,
Yeah.
they couldn't come up to Rockford where I was at, but they could do that.
Right, of course.
So I
yeah.
texted him, said, "No, it's me. I'm at my own house," kind of thing. We're all safe. I said, but my furnace just went out. I'm just having a heck of a week. And it was not like 30 seconds later, I had 4 cops in my house poking around my furnace. They ended up getting like working for the night. Kind
That's
of thing.
awesome. Yeah.
And I looked at that and I was like, well, I'm never going anywhere else.
Yeah.
So this is it. I'm stuck here for.
Yeah.
They've got me.
Yeah. Right. Well. Yeah. I'm the same way. Yeah. I've been an officer for almost 6 years now, and I've got 29 to go. So. But yeah, I'm not going anywhere either. Kind of to, I guess, my own story in regards to, the culture and people being there for me. Gosh, this was probably almost a year ago now. I was dealing with some things personally. New house, new baby. I just got married, and started struggling, with all these big things going on at one time in my life. And, I had a really, really bad anxiety attack one day. And I remember the first person I called was my uncle, actually, who had been through some similar things, being in military and whatever else. And then, gosh, it wasn't maybe a half hour later, Chief Howell got a hold of me, said, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And I told him, and then I think Detective Sergeant Bivens was at my house 15, 20 minutes later. And he just he's been, we all go through things, and he'd been through some things as well. And he just kind of talked me through some things and calmed me down. And then I think shortly after that, Chief called me, and I think I had an appointment with people I needed to talk to like 12 hours later. Nice. And he said, again, take all the time you need. Don't worry about work. The job's still going to be here. Right. We'll figure it out, and that was my, that was a big thing for me, is that, whether, you're going through something or your family's going through something, like everyone here is going to be here for you. And so I took some time off work, and I was welcomed back with open arms when I was ready to come back, So that's, from, again, top to bottom, there was people there for me and my family. I know a couple of the sergeants brought out lunch one day when I was at home, helped with my son, diapers, wipes, whatever it was we needed. And that's again, I was like, I've got 30 plus years to go. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for a while. So
every time one of the officers has a kid or like some kind of surgery or something like that, and they're out for a while, they'll set up like a meal train thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Website log into. I think it's filled up so fast.
Oh, it does.
So by the time I see it, because I'm like, somehow I'm always on night shift. So I wake up, I see the email. I tell my wife about it because she's better at that kind of thing than I am. Mm-hmm. And she logs into it. She's like, well, it's already full. I'm like, it's been there for like 3 hours.
Yeah. So, and it's usually like 8 to 10 meals, I think it is. And it's a different person. It's not the same family. Yeah. We got 30 guys here. Yeah. I mean, it is somebody different. Every, it's not like it's the same like handful of officers or handful of families that are helping you out. It's multiple different guys or girl. But it's nice. That goes a long way, especially when you're at home with a new baby and your new parents or whatever trying to figure things out. But that's I guess not having to worry about making a meal or whatever it may be is super, super nice.
Yeah, so. Especially in my household, because my wife and I are a good team. She likes to make food, and I like to eat food. I'm not so good at the whole making food part, so
that's great.
Works out well.
Yeah. Well, at my house, I take care of the house, and the wife takes care of the baby. So that's a team effort. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I think that kind of in a nutshell just kind of sums up our department culture. It just shows you, like, you take care of your people, the people take care of you, kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's, these are only stories from you and I, and we're 2 guys out of 30, so there's plenty of other stories that I'm sure, many officers are gonna touch on and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll wrap this one up and get ready for our special guest we got coming in.
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief Matt Richards. He's more commonly known as the lead singer of a Nickelback cover band here in town.
What?
You're a big Nickelback fan, aren't you?
I love Nickelback, man. If I had a concert, shine down on Nickelback, we're going, man. I'm taking the next day off and the day after. I'll still be hungover after that one.
I knew you were going to throw that in there.
In all seriousness, I'd like to introduce everyone Matt Richards. He's a deputy chief here at the Dixon Police Department. He's been here for, a long time. And he's going to explain more about that in his time here. But he's my first sergeant here. It's been a lot of fun working around with him. He's the very definition of work hard, play hard. So, Deputy Chief Matt Richards, everyone.
Ryan, Matt, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This will be fun.
So, Matt here's come up with several questions for Deputy Chief. But first one I'd like to start off with, it's not off the list here, so kind of blindsided you a little bit. But you are commonly known around the department as Goose.
I am.
Could you explain on that a little bit?
You want the full story? We got time for this?
We got time.
I'll make this happen.
Yeah, we got time.
So back in the day, so 1999, were you even born yet, Matt?
I was 2.
Oh, jeez. So we had a call. So I was working night shift. It was me, Jason Lamondola, and my sergeant, Terry Mattis. We're on night shift, and that's when we worked 11 to 7. So about 6 a.m., we had a call come in. It was middle of May, beginning of June. Had a call come in. The lady called in by the middle school and said there was a goose in her front yard. And the goose wouldn't leave. She would chase it away, and it wouldn't leave. So I was the Southside car that morning, and I went over to the house. And it was a juvenile goose. It wasn't like an adult goose. It wasn't a baby goose. He was like that awkward stage, like the juvenile, just kind of the pubescent goose we're going to call him.
Yeah.
So I would walk up to the goose and would walk away. I would turn and walk away from it. It would follow me. So it wasn't really scared of us. And I grew up on a farm, so I'm like, you know what? I can catch this thing. I'll take it down the river and let it go. So Jason Lamondola showed up about that time. He grew up in the city. He had no idea what to do. I asked the homeowner if she had a pet carrier. So my plan was to catch this goose, put it in a pet carrier, take it down the river and let it go. And I remember Jason saying, he's like, you can't catch a goose that will bite you. I'm like, trust me, it won't bite me. So the lady had a pet carrier. So what I did is I went and I snatched the goose. I got it from behind. He is mad. He's just spitting and trying to bite me. So Jason was holding the pet carrier, and I threw it in the pet carrier, shut the door. Jason goes, holy cow, that was awesome. So we're going to take it down the river. About that time, our sergeant came on the radio. He goes 150. 150 is my call number. 150, what's your status? And Jason gets on the radio, goes 123, which is Terry's call number. He goes 123, 150, grab the goose with his bare hands. And Jason was absolutely amazed. And what I didn't know is the dispatchers are out over rolling, just having a good time. So we throw in the back of my squad, drive down to Page Park, and I open up the door and open up the pet carrier, and I dump that thing out, and he takes off. He is mad. He's all puffed up and hissing and spitting. So I get back in my car, start driving down Page Drive, and look at my side mirror. That little stinker's chasing my squad, flapping his wings. So that's kind of how it stuck. So the dispatchers kind of started their little story, and Lamondola had a big influence about the nickname that stuck for the last 25 and a half years.
I actually have you in my phone as Goose Matt Richards.
So when the judges and the state's attorney start calling you that, I guess it's going to stick.
Yeah, it's
Do they really? Do they call you Goose too?
Yeah.
I guess there are worse names.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
So that's it, Ryan. That's the story behind the nickname.
Nice.
I like it.
Well, just going down the line here, let's start with some simple questions. I guess the first one is, how long have you been a police officer, Matt?
So I've been with Dixon for just over 25 years, but I was a police officer down where I grew up, a little town called Athens down by Springfield. And so I grew up. I graduated high school there. I was going to college, and I got hired when I was 21. So I worked down there for about 19 months.
Okay. Nice.
So then I got hired up here in Dixon in April of '98. Yeah, man, that's been 25 years ago. So here I am.
Time flies.
Tell me about
when
it.
you're having fun.
I still am having a good time.
What positions have you held as your time as a police officer here?
Patrolman, detective, sergeant, detective sergeant, and right now deputy chief. So I think that covers all of them.
Nice.
Senior morale officer.
Yeah, something like that. Those cold February nights, you gotta do something right.
Well, I guess one I have kind of off the cuff here. What's your favorite position you've held as a officer?
I tell you what,
It was working with me. You can say it.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to say it, man.
He's going to say
is being a patrol sergeant on the road. Don't get me wrong, investigations. I did that for a long time. I had a lot of fun doing that. Had a lot of influence on a lot of different cases, a lot of families I work with. But the patrol side, it's just unless you've done it and you've been there, you can't explain it. And I thoroughly enjoy my time on the road. You have those nights where you're gunning from call to call to call. Next thing you know, it's 10 hours later. It's time to go home. You got those cold February nights. You're looking around thinking what you can do. You can look down Galena. You can shoot a gun down, hit a dang thing walking or anything, any driving. But definitely it would be the patrol sergeant, because when you had a good group or good team to work with, it made my job easy. So definitely patrol sergeant. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Awesome.
I always enjoyed the competition, the competitive side you brought to it.
I don't like losing, man.
I know, and I don't either.
Ryan doesn't like losing either, and he'll let you know.
Yeah,
and that's what made my job fun. Is I was a little older when I got promoted, when I was on the road as a patrol sergeant, and it just kind of energized me to work with a bunch of young guys and girls that enjoy the job. So it made my job easy. It really did.
Yeah, you weren't afraid to change it up either. You're like, let's try something different, so things don't get stale.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which made the whole experience a lot more fun, because you never know what you're going to get coming to work.
You don't, especially in this job. You really don't.
Yeah. How many cars did we stop last month, or is it 2 months ago?
We stopped 48 in one shift. We're still 10 shy of the time on our shift when we work together. So
that's good. That's a good night.
Was it 216 in a month?
That's something. We had
just under 48% of the stops for
our shift,
the whole entire department
That's
was
awesome.
was our shift.
We set some goals to try to challenge each other, kind of thing. So it was good.
Yeah. What's your most, I guess, memorable call that you've handled during your career? I know that there's a ton of them that you've probably handled and things like that, and we kind of spoke about it prior to getting on here. But I guess, what is your most memorable call that you've handled?
It's hard to narrow down to one call. You got 27 and a half years just blended together. You can actually think of certain situations with smells or voices or sounds or calls for service. But if I had to go back, the one that I really think like that, the one that kind of sticks out, I was a young officer here. It was probably 99, 2000, somewhere in there. I was just a patrolman on the shift. And we had, you may not know this. I've told a lot of stories. You may not know this one, though.
We'll see.
So I was Southside Squad that day, and there was a call for service on West 4th Street down by Casey's. You know this one?
Go on.
And it was a domestic in progress, but at the time, it was a trailer that was on West 4th Street, and where the trailer was located, it was actually a county address, but the houses around it were Dixon addresses. So it was a county call, and the county squads were busy, and dispatch asked if we would go check it out. I don't remember the whole, the nature of it, but there was a domestic. It was arguing, screaming, something like that, and I was the first one on scene. And Matt Capitelli was on shift with me, and another officer, Mark Haviland, was on shift. And it was a trailer, and I remember I was the first one there. We kind of rolled up at the same time, but I was the first one there. And the way the trailer was positioned is the stairs were on the left side of the building, so I was looking at like long ways, not the wide side of the trailer. So I walked up to the trailer, and we listened for a second, didn't hear anything. And I remember knocking on the door, announced myself police department. I was offset from the door, and if you're looking at the door opened to my left, so the door would open away from me. And knock, 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 and Matt is right behind me, and Mark is up on the deck as well. And all of a sudden, I remember the screen door just getting kicked open, just flew open, and this dude walks out with a samurai sword, holding a samurai sword like a baseball bat. You know this one?
No, I don't. Surprisingly,
hold it like a baseball bat. And me and Matt right now, we're probably 5 feet away, so I was 3 feet away from him when he walked out. just like this. And I'm like, ah! I'm like, what? I remember what it is. I turned and I put my shoulder into Matt's chest. I'm like, watch out, watch out, watch out. And we all jumped off the deck at the same time. We all landed. It was like 2 or 3 stairs down to the ground. And I remember we all turned. We all drew our guns at the exact same time. And we're like, drop it, drop it, drop it. And I just remember the dude standing like he's getting ready to swing a baseball bat. And he looks at us. He takes the sword, turns upside down, and he sticks it in the deck. It was a wooden deck. Then we went and handcuffed him. And at that point, the adrenaline kicked in. That's when I started shaking. And I know I'm not dead because Matt was pulling his trigger and I was pulling my trigger too. Yeah. Now, I'm not talking old war stories. I don't want that to be about that. But that's what I remember. I had the mindset, oh, it's a domestic. We're going to help out the county. Turns out the dude walks out with a sword.
Samurai sword.
That's a county call. It's not a Dixon call.
Right.
So, I mean, that one kind of sticks out because how close or how bad it could have been. It turned out good. It did. The guy went to jail. The girl was in the house as well. But just the mindset that I wasn't really prepared for that, but our actions and how we responded was like our training kind of kicked in. Right. Even though I was a young cop, I mean, we still had a lot of training back then. But yeah, that one sticks out when you really think about it. So.
Yeah, I can honestly say I've never had that happen to me. So yeah, that's definitely sticks out. Yeah, I bet.
It must be something with you and people with knives.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I thought about that the other day. It's crazy. Yeah, that's for different podcasts.
Right.
Yeah.
Someday we'll tell that other story.
Someday. Yeah.
So that one sticks out. But I mean, there's so many fun things that I've been a part of and the teams I've been a part of, but you just can't really narrow down to one thing.
Right.
Sure, if you talk about it or you remember it, oh yeah, I remember that. That was cool. We did this. Or we did this. But that's the one that kind of sticks out is being a new officer here, a couple years on, and just that happening.
Yeah.
One thing you said that always sticks out to me is people are always talking about like, oh, you're 20 years or 25 years, I'm going to retire, and you're at 27 years, and people always ask you, like, oh, so when do you think you're going to retire? And like the phrase you give back to them, yeah, I love because it's great because it's so you. You're like, well, I'm still having fun, so I don't see why I should retire yet.
Still having fun. When it becomes a job, all right, time for me to go.
Yeah.
Right.
When I come in and I'm not looking forward to it, or I don't have the tolerance or the patience to deal with people, time to go.
Yeah.
But now it's not yet. It's not it.
Yeah.
So I got a little bit of time left. So I won't bother you guys for a couple more years anyways.
Just a couple, yeah.
Well, you're 48?
49, man. Just turned 49 and 50 next year.
Old.
Oh, wow.
I know. Hard to believe.
Right?
I can feel it too.
Man. Let's go. What's the most rewarding thing about being a police officer?
10 years ago, my answer would have been different. So if we have time, I'll kind of go, I guess, 2 different ways with that answer. 10 years ago, I would say, because at that point I was working investigations, doing a lot of investigations involving victims of sex crimes, physical crimes, stuff like that. Then it would be helping the victims and trying to make things right for them. You're never going to be totally right with what happened to them, but you can do your best to empathize, have justice for them, if that's even possible. Been very fortunate to work with a lot of cases, a lot of good detectives, a lot of good officers to remedy cases for the victim or victims to try and assure them, hey, you know what, justice has been served. We're doing our best to help you. So that would probably, 10 years ago, I'd probably say that.
Yeah.
But now, the most rewarding is, this is going to sound really conceited, but that's not how I want it to come off, is I've done this a long time, and I feel I have a lot to give back. A lot of the training and the stuff I've seen, they give back to you guys to kind of pass the torch and carry on what the guys before me even started to, the culture. We're going to talk about culture in a little bit, the culture, how to do things right, how to be a good cop, how to be a good father, a good police officer. I like to say that I can pass some of that down to the young guys so they know, this isn't a bad job. This, we have our bad things, but, that's what this is about is passing this on and knowing this is still a noble profession. I said it before when I teach out of SOC that, this isn't a job, it's a calling.
Right.
People ask me why this job, and I can honestly say I have no idea. It's because it was a calling. It really was. I could have done a lot of other things.
Right.
I enjoyed the sciences and the biology. I could have gone and done into that kind of thing or whatever. But you know what? It's always this. It's just something that always pulled me to it. No family in this profession. Nobody. my family's on the other side of the handcuffs.
On the other side of the
I can
wall.
say that. So,
Yeah.
no, it's a calling. It's a noble profession, and just for me to be able to give back to the younger officers, I think that's the rewarding part right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really, it's a good thing about leaders who are like wanting to pass on that information. Like, I mean, because you're always, as soon as you get in an exposition, you should already be basically training your replacement. You know, like, hey, I've got to this spot, and here's how I got to it,
Yep.
and here's what made me successful. So I want you guys to be successful, because someday I'm not going to be here, right? Everyone.
And some days not that far off.
Right, right, yeah. Everyone in a job is replaceable. You know, if you're not, then that business model is already set up for failure.
Right.
So if you got someone who's in charge leading the way, but they're saying, hey, this is what you guys need to do to be successful when I'm gone someday. I mean, I think that's the right answer for, leadership in general.
And what I've seen is law enforcement's kind of failed in having that succession plan. But Chief Al, he's done a really good job of saying, hey, guys, we're going to be gone. When I say we, me and Doug Lehman and him, we're going to be gone. Who are going to replace us? Who's going to replace the guys that replace us? So we're doing a better job in this department to, move those pieces and get everything ready.
Yeah.
When that happens, it's not that far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the many great things. Like, we're going to go into our department culture. With starting like top to bottom, I think we have 30 guys and a girl here. We have some great officers here, and like you said, that starts with you guys, and that's one of the many great things about why this department has been as great as it has for years and years. So
Decades.
we hope to continue that. So. Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt's brought up already that department culture. That's something we were talking about before you came on here. Do you have any insights as to why you think our culture here at the Dixon Police Department specifically works so well? I mean, I know you said you worked at a previous department, but it was
a small agency, so there wasn't
long time
that's
ago.
That's a bad sample size.
Right. But I mean, you've interacted with a lot of other agencies.
Yeah, man. So when I started here, I had no plans to stay. I thought I was going to do 3 years. My whole goal was to go into conservation law enforcement. That was my degree, was in that. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. And the next thing I know, it's 25 years later, I'm still here. So I look back, I'm like, what happened? Why did I never leave? And I look back when I started. So a lot of guys my age, we all started about the same time. And it was almost like an extended family and a brotherhood. That's how the best I can explain it. I'm sure you've seen it in the military before.
Not like here.
No?
No, here's been by and far above everything I've ever experienced in the military.
It's just like I was really fortunate that I came in with a good group of guys, all kind of the same age, a bunch of alpha males, a bunch of guys ready to get after it. And outside of the job, we still interacted, we still hung out, and I'm hoping that's going on now. Not that it has to happen all the time, but we were really close. Played softball together, went to ball games, went out to eat, had to parties and stuff like that. And that's kind of the culture that really started with me, was when I started with that group of guys. But that was before me. That was already set. The culture's already set. When I came here, I mean, you had your expectations. You knew what was expected of you, and if you didn't comply or adhere, you probably weren't going to be successful.
Right.
And everybody that had those same ideas, the same thoughts, the same emotions, they were successful, and that's what made this department great. And I know, Matt, you've worked with another agency. We're not going to name who it is.
Yeah.
But you didn't stay very long.
I didn't. I was there for 9 months is how long I was there, because I wanted to be an officer when I was probably 16, 17, when I was in high school. One of the sergeants that just retired from here, he's actually out at the Sauk Police Academy now. He was my track and football coach in high school, and he's one of the many reasons I wanted to come here. And just I did some ride-alongs, and it was just, I mean, this place is unlike any other. I know I've only worked for one other agency, but like I said, we do things here like lunch. We'll eat lunch together. We'll eat dinner together. The other department I worked at, you didn't do those kinds of things. You would sit in a dark room and eat lunch or dinner by yourself. throughout the night. And here it's not like that. It's this place is great, and I don't see why anybody would want to leave. So
yeah, that's huge. Just having that ability to talk things over or bounce things off each other. I said it 3 or 4 times already, but those cold February nights, that's when you really get to know guys.
Yeah.
It helps you stay awake. It's just, I don't know, it's just developing that bond and that relationship that, unless you've experienced it, you really can't explain it.
No.
But I mean, that's.
Chris, do you remember the standing rule you used to have during meal times?
No looking at our phones.
Yeah, no phones. Yep.
Yeah.
It was like, no, we're here.
So-
we're going to talk.
So, man, all right, you already opened the box. I'm going to talk about it. I mean, you get guys still, I mean, everybody still talks, but we come down to lunch, everybody's on their phones. I'm like, how am I supposed to get to know you if you're buried in your phone?
Right.
Yeah, and you publicly shame them. You're like, oh, it's cool. I won't talk to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get people to turn their phones off.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
turn
it's
those
good.
things. It's like, my kids, turn your stuff off.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's learn who we are.
Yeah.
Get to know everybody.
Yeah, right. Nowadays, social media and everything else, there's nothing but really bad stuff more often than not on social media. So, and working here is not a bad thing. So yeah, maybe that's something that we should implement on our shift.
I like it.
Is no phones.
Sergeant Sharp,
No phones. Yeah. I know he can
protege
hear
of
us.
mine,
He
so
can
he
hear
can-
us right now.
I know he
so
can. That's why
yeah.
I said that.
So no phones during lunch.
Yeah, no,
so,
seriously. I mean, just
or
put
dinner.
them down. Put them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the culture. That's kind of what it did it for me. Was the brotherhood. Something I never experienced before. I had some good group of friends growing up in college and stuff like that, but it was different. And I'm like, all right, I could do this the rest of my career, and I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, you spend more time with the guys you work with and your family. Sometimes 12 hours a day. That's I only got a couple hours with my wife and my boy today. So it's when you're here for 12 hours, you're gonna start to get close to those guys and them girls you're working with. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's ultimately what drew me into. I did a ride along with Sergeant Thomas, and I immediately right after and Charlie, he's just Charlie.
Charlie's Charlie.
So
yeah.
he's giving everyone else a hard time, and they're giving it right back to him. And I was just watching it as like an outsider, but I was like, man, this is what I've been missing, the camaraderie, because I wasn't getting it at the previous job I was working. It wasn't law enforcement at all, but I had all this time in the military where you get kind of a snapshots of that when you're like at training, but it's not. I'm not full time, so like to be able to have that like I said, that camaraderie, 24/7, not 24/7, but 12 hours at a time, and all the time, you get everyone's. Even when we're not at work, we're always texting each other, group text. Hey, this is what's going on. People are still engaging, interacting with each other even outside of working hours because like Matt said, this is basically our family. So
Absolutely.
well, any final thoughts on the Dixon Police Department and your time here?
I'm gonna tell everybody, enjoy it. It goes so fast. I look back, I'm like, where is 25 years here gone? It's just, or 27 in the job. It's just, it's unreal.
Yeah.
It goes so fast. A lot of people think, oh, little small town Dixon, stuff doesn't happen. That stuff happens.
Yeah.
It makes your memories. It makes this job fun. But what really makes the job is the group of people you work with. That's what makes it tolerable, and it makes it memorable, and makes it fun. It really does. So enjoy it, guys. I know a lot of guys complain, I got so many years before I can retire. It'll be there. Trust me. It'll show up at your doorstep. You're like, what in the hell just happened?
Matt's got 42 years before you can retire.
No, you can't look at it like that.
No.
You can't.
I
never looked at retirement as an end goal.
Yeah.
I didn't. I just came to work and I did my job, and that's what it was. But you can't look at retirement as like a goal or the end of the race. Don't look at it like that. Just enjoy the process, because man, it's fun. It is.
Yeah.
It is a ride.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming in. And
Anytime for you,
talking with
my
us
favorite
and-
Green Beret.
Favorite Green Beret, yeah. For those listeners that aren't aware, I'm the only one he knows. So
Yeah, Green Beret.
also his least favorite.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so for one of the other parts of the podcast, I presented the challenge for Matt and myself to do some research and find some really obscure, maybe antiquated laws that don't really apply anymore and just see if everyone's ever heard of those laws. The law book that we have to enforce, it's absurdly thick, and
yes, it is.
Nobody can memorize all of it. I mean, if you do, then good for you. I guess.
Kudos to you.
Yeah, it's a lot to remember, which is why we have it in a book written down, so I can research it. So, like a lot of state troopers will do traffic enforcement on like semis, all the equipment stuff like that. Like it's not something we do. So like there's a lot of those laws I just have no idea. So we went to find some as obscure as the ones we could, and we included city ordinances because sometimes those don't get updated nearly as often as like the state law does. So the one that I found had to do with rainwater. You ever heard of this one?
Rainwater. I can't say I have.
Yeah. So people will collect rainwater in like buckets, or they get those things, the big barrels at the bottom of downspouts, so they can water their gardens and whatever else with. Actually, I stole this one from PJ, and he's looking at me now. There is a limit to how much water you can collect from rain. Did you know that? And I had to look it up. I was like, okay, whatever. And I think it might be a city ordinance. I
was just going to ask, is this a state law or a city ordinance?
And it had to do with areas where there's like droughts and stuff like that. So the rainwater feeds into the stream systems and stuff like that. So somebody, I mean, the law has to be in place because somebody did something.
It's
right.
Yeah.
It wasn't just someone like, you know what, we should put a restriction on this.
Right.
So the limit is like 5,000 gallons.
Holy cow.
That's a lot of rainwater.
That's a lot of rainwater.
I'd just like to see the gutters they got in that house, just to see how are you harnessing all of that.
Yeah. How many, what are they, barrels? How many barrels do you need for 5,000 gallons? Probably a lot.
That's like a 55-gallon drum.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, math wasn't my strong suit, that's why I'm a cop.
That's like 100, I would say. 55, yeah. That would be over 155-gallon barrels.
Does the math real quick. Checks out, sure.
Yeah, where are you putting all those?
I don't know. What are you using
How many acres do you have?
Right.
Like,
yeah, so I couldn't find what the charge for it was. It was just like, so that's why I'm guessing it's probably more of a city ordinance.
City ordinance,
like,
yeah.
You got to go to court for this one because I don't know what to do with this.
Right. Oh, man. Well, that's, at least with Lee County, and it's funny now, like, for city ordinance citations, we can write them for, batteries or disorderly conduct or even DUIs. Right. We do. But now, per Lee County, you have to, like, if there's a, say we read an ordinance for a barking dog. Well, the victim or the complainant in the case actually has to appear in court now.
Right. Who's the victim for rainwater?
And that's the question. Yeah. Who would be the victim?
That's a good question. I don't know.
For the rainwater.
DNR,
so
maybe?
I'm assuming maybe that doesn't pertain to that county, or but in Lee County, yeah. And I find it hard to believe that we would enforce something like that. Obviously, it's not a Lee County ordinance.
I would defer that to
yeah, that's a state's attorney. Yeah, or a city attorney,
I
whatever
can
it may
imagine
be.
somebody called in, because we get called about the craziest things.
Yeah,
Someone's
we
like, my neighbor's definitely got over 5,000 gallons of rainwater. Like, what?
I want to pursue him.
Like, what are they doing with it? Filling a swimming pool?
Oh, that is funny.
Nice.
That's definitely obscure.
Yes,
for sure.
So which one did you find?
So the one that I found, it's obviously in Illinois. I'm positive it's an ordinance. I'm not sure what county it is, but it states that females cannot throw snowballs, but
males can.
Males can. So, and I'm pretty sure it's a petty offense or an ordinance ticket. So
that's gotta be like those ones where you show like the old pictures where like cops are going down like the beach and they're measuring like swimsuit length for women. Like,
right.
Oh, so that's too far above your knees.
Yeah. Like, and what officer is going to enforce that? Like, especially if you got young kids having a snowball fight during the wintertime.
Right.
And you pick out a girl that's trying to have fun and throw a snowball.
Nope.
Yeah. Yep. Come here. We're gonna
call your parents.
We're gonna call your parents and charge you $150 some odd for throwing a snowball. Like that wouldn't fly here. I would certainly not do that here. So
I wonder as to like when that came about. If there's a date on that, it had to have been early 1900s.
I'm sure there's something I could try and dig it up again. I just typed in obscure laws Illinois or whatever it was. It did say the county, but I can't remember exactly what it was. So I'm sure there's a date on either the article that I read or whatever city ordinance it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure I could dig it up and figure it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's good for this time. Next time we'll come up with some more obscure laws we find.
Yeah, we'll do our best. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and the last section we had here, just to close this out, is I asked Matt and whoever else around us to find out what was their probably favorite or most memorable recent calls. Recent's kind of a relative, and you can just, if you got one that really sticks out in your mind in the last several months, whatever. If you've got one, go ahead and share that.
Well, recently, I guess. Well, it's last night, for instance. We had a young kid who was struggling with some things. His mother called us, and he was having thoughts and feelings about hurting himself and stuff like that, which in this line of work we see all too often.
Yeah.
And it seems like the kids are getting younger and younger. So the kid initially, when we got there, he was pretty upset, but I was able to go in and build a rapport with him and calm him down, and he was very, very honest with me and Officer Ginn, or PJ if you whatever you want to call him. And the kid said that he needed some help and he wanted to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And he was more than willing to go in a squad car with me. Him and his mom weren't gelling, necessarily. They were arguing, and that's why we were called there.
Yeah.
So to be able to go into a situation, never having met this kid before, and usually most people, when police are around, they're either anxious or they get scared, I guess, per se, especially when they're juveniles or teenagers,
Yeah.
So I was just able to go in there, build a rapport with him, and it was, I don't even think he asked me a question. He was fine with going in my squad car with me, and I took him to the hospital, and we got him the help he needed. So
nice. The call I came up with, a little bit more lighthearted than that one, but another one is juveniles. So we had some juvenile males in a car. We're doing donuts or something at one of the parks or whatever. So we went up there, and they ended up fleeing on us, and then they ditched their car near this cemetery, Oakwood Cemetery. And for those who don't know, Oakwood Cemetery is a maze.
Yes,
roads, they just go in circles,
hills,
loop-de-loops, everything. Yeah.
Good luck.
And so I jumped out on foot because it crosses over into a couple different subdivisions, and they all kind of interconnect. And I chased people there before, and they just hop back and forth, and you end up spending all your time driving back and forth in a squad car. So I was like, I'll get out on foot. Everyone else can just kind of drive around.
Right.
We'll try to wrangle them in. Well, at one point, I'm after this kid, and I'm gaining on him. We've been going after for a while. We've probably run about a mile at this point. And I was like, all right, I'm not quitting now because I've gone this far. I'm just gonna, whatever.
You're fully in it.
And PJ, Officer Ginn, he's in the cemetery driving around. And so I'm super out of breath at this point. I'm running in boots, which is dumb. And so I get on the radio, and I'm like, he's right down this hill. Like, I need you to get over here. Just a pause. And he gets back on. Excuse me, he gets back on, and he's like, I can't get out of the cemetery.
He was lost.
He's doing circles in there trying to get out. And, when you're in a panic mode, trying to hurry, it makes everything way worse.
Oh, man, and
I'm ever thinking man, if I could breathe right now, I would laugh.
And if you think to yourself, man, I should have stayed in my car.
Yeah.
Instead of, it's,
we caught the kid later.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Ended up working out. But
we did get to, and that was another, I was involved in that incident as well. It was nice, initially, taking the kid into custody and everything else. And, I knew the kid and his parents, so to kind of, the kid, not necessarily a bad kid, but he just kids being kids.
Yeah.
I know we were teenagers once as well. I can say I've never ran from the police before.
Yeah, I never did that.
But kids are kids will be kids.
I jokingly tell people ask me what's the most difficult people you deal with? I'm like, oh, it's teenage boys, 100%. I go, they're the dumbest people in the world. So I know this because I was one.
Yeah, right.
And you just talk to them, and you're like, why is this on fire? Like, oh, I don't know. They're like, oh, come on. And then you give them cars. So,
yeah.
Just, they grow out of it eventually. But,
eventually.
It's like
yeah.
undeveloped brains kind of thing, like when,
Yeah, you give them a vehicle
and some freedom
at 16 years old, freedom.
Yeah.
And they put certain laws in place for GDL or graduated driver's license restrictions for a reason.
Yeah.
And
it's just
some kids don't. Some kids don't. Like they're supposed to have one passenger.
Yeah.
Most kids don't abide by that. So.
I came up in the old Shopko parking lot there, and a couple of kids in their trucks and their car, and they're all revving their engines, just about getting ready to do whatever teenage boys
Burnouts,
do. Right.
Yeah.
And I pulled around the corner. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. And I just pulled up, and they all saw me, and it was like the deer in headlights, like the big eyes. And I pulled up to them and rolled down the windows, and I was like, come on, guys, let's just make better decisions tonight, okay? They're like, okay, we're sorry. They haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
I'm just stop.
Yeah, right.
They're like, okay. So I will say, not there's probably any teenage boys listening, but if you do try to outrun the cops, you might outrun our car, but you're not going to outrun the radio.
Yeah.
It travels 186,000 miles per second.
Yes, it does. And you can't outrun, well, first and foremost, your vehicle description.
Yeah. And Matt knows everybody here in town. So.
Or your license plate number that we certainly have. And if it comes back to somebody in Dixon, it's not a very big town.
No.
So if it comes back to your parents or whoever, grandparents, I'm sure somebody here at the police department is going to know who it was. And with video cameras and everything else nowadays, it's pretty difficult to hide. Yeah. So, yeah.
So for any teenage boys out there, it's a short 7 years, and you can be a 20-year-old and have all sorts of freedoms.
Of course, yeah.
Well, man, I think that's a good one to end it on.
Awesome.
So appreciate everyone listening. If you like this, let us know. And you can always follow us on all sorts of social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I think that's it.
I think that is it. Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you all next time.
Awesome, guys. Thanks.